Hello gamers, and welcome to my Etheria restart, super serious as you can see, Dokidoki guide. Now Dokidoki is something that every player will have to eventually do, and when I talk about this with my friends that start playing, or some guildies that are new, or people in global chat, as you guys probably already know, or even their community Discord for this game, the most common question that I've heard this week is, what is Dokidoki? What does that even mean, right? Is it like a Japanese word? Like, what are we talking about? So, Dokidoki, I'm just going to tell you, is a threshold. If you press challenge and go to threshold, it's going to be a dungeon, basically, and you're going to see here that you can tackle multiple stages, and these stages are very important because they go up in difficulty as you go to the, bottom of the stages. So Nightmare 3 is harder than Nightmare 1, and the drops get better and better, so it's definitely important to farm eventually, and it is something that most people recommend aiming for to farm first. Now, people always ask me, well, why do we farm Dokidoki? Why don't we just farm a different, threshold where I already have units built for, like Teramaton, because I have Leanne, right, who's already 6-star and stuff like that. Well, the reason is in the center of your screen here. So you can see Swift Rush, right? Swift Rush is a set that gives you SPD, which stands for speed, right? Now this is going to be the best set in the game, especially for PvP, especially early on into the game's release, because this just makes you go first, and you just go first and win. And we'll explain why on the next slide here. This is one of the 5 sets that dropped. The other 4 sets, they're okay. I think the best one's in the top right here, which is why I made it a little bit bigger, which is Harvest. It makes your damage dealers hit harder. You'll probably put your damage dealers on this because you'll be farming this a lot. Bramble in the top left here is okay as well for defense scaling tanks. If you want like a Giga tank, you can use Unbreakable set, and Time Weave is also just meh. There's a lot of RNG built in it, but when it procs, it's very good. But for the most part, just keep in mind you're farming this mostly for Swift Rush set and somewhat for Harvest set as well, especially for the early game. The other sets do find some uses later on. And the reason why Swift Rush set is so good is you can see like 6 units on your screen here. Basically all these units have like some sort of really annoying AoE ability that can make you slow and move back your turn meter and stuff like that. So because of this, in PvP especially, if these units go first, a lot of the time you're just at a disadvantage. And right now, because there's not a lot of options for turn 2 gameplay, you just kind of lose. So because of that, this set is extremely important. Not even because you want to go turn 1 and just like cleave them down, but because you don't want to get cleaved down, if that makes sense, right? Even if you don't want to go fast, you're gonna have to go fast to counter the people that want to go fast, right? Currently in RTA in PvP, if you guys have been playing through it, which you probably have for the weekly rewards, basically whoever goes first right now, I'd say is like 80% chance they're winning at least. And these are just some units in the game. I just listed the first 6 I saw, and here they are. And you can see, a lot of these abilities look very broken if they go first and go uncontested, and spoiler alert, they really are. So when do we actually farm it, right? I'm talking about this, do you farm it now? Do you farm it at the start of the game? There's actually a specific breakpoint you want to actually farm it. You do want to do it for your hyperlink charter quests. Whenever it says like do it 10 times, sure, you can do it, but you want to actually farm it when you can actually get good gear. So the good gear is going to be the red gear. It's the highest rarity. Anything below that is not really good because it's going to be not the highest rarity, meaning you'll eventually have to replace it. So anything you invest into it, you pretty much are losing out on. So because of this, you're going to want to farm it, which is like continuously battle it over and over once you can actually get this red gear. And it drops from Hell 1 and onwards, which unlocks at level 35. And Hell 1 will have a chance to drop the red mythic gear, but same with Hell 2 and Hell 3. But you're going to see that Hell 4 and Inferno, which is still level 35 for Hell 4, but Inferno is level 50, will guarantee that it is red. So you want to get to this as soon as you can. But even Hell 1 is worth farming this early into the season, into the game release, because you definitely want the Swift Rush set and the Harvest set, so you can start gearing your characters and actually be able to like progress your account, And then also, you guys are also wondering probably, okay, so that's when we farm. How do I farm it? What units do I need? So I kind of compiled this list for you guys of all the units that I think are pretty good. There's some that are probably missing that other people might use, but for the most part, these are going to be, in my opinion, the best characters to build. And you're going to see that we have 4 different roles here. We have main DPS, the CC characters, the supports, and the healers. Now keep in mind, you don't need a healer, but I highly recommend having one, especially when you're progressing this, because it becomes a DPS race if you don't have a healer. And because of that, you know, your runs will be slower if you run a healer, but they will be safer, so I definitely recommend a healer. But starting off, let's look at the left here. Let's look at the main DPS. The characters at the top are going to be stronger than the ones at the bottom. The best one by far is Real Mocha, and then below her we have Messiah, Rosa, and then the worst of the four is going to be Tiamat after her nerfs. Now, Real Mocha is by far the best DPS. You definitely are going to want to use her if you can. If you guys don't have her, well, this is the time where you want to think about using your targeted summon. So I recommend using your targeted summon at around level 30-ish for your main DPS, especially if you didn't summon one already. And that's because all the other roles you're gonna see have SR substitutes, but the main DPS, there's not really a character that can be the main DPS that's an SR unit. You really want your SSR, your max rarity character to do that for you. One, because they have higher base stats, so they just do more damage, and two, because they are just the best characters for Dokidoki to do damage. There is one caveat though. You'll see under supports, if you see Gray here, he's an SR. He can count, some people will count him as a DPS. I have him more of him as a support, because while he is a DPS, he kind of fits the support role more, I'd say, but he is maybe an option as a main DPS, but I tried to highly avoid it, because if you do that, you're going to be pressured to win really fast, and you're probably not going to be able to run a healer because you'll just get damage checked. So definitely Real Mocha is the best option by far. She is like by far the best option. It's not even close. She literally clears the stage very fast for you, and yeah, if you use her, you'll understand why. If you max out her S3, she's just going to one-shot stuff for you. It's going to be pretty crazy. Next up, we have the CC role. You need a CC character in Dokidoki, otherwise the ad's like enrage and you just get one-shot eventually. There's three really good options, I'd say. There's Mio, Kraken, and Kazuya, the green Kazuya, Kazuyo. And they're very good because they can CC the ads. You want them on like effect, accuracy, right side equipment, accessories, and they're good to go. A tier below them would be Lilith. If you have her and you want to use her, sure, but I don't know why you would, because you know, Kazuyo and Kraken are just a lot better. If you somehow got Mio, you can use her as well. But I think more consistent, less investment options are going to be those SR picks in Kraken and Kazuyo TR. They are very OP here, trust me. When I used them in beta, it was pretty amazing. I think they got nerfed, but they should still be fine. Next, we have the supports. You want to run at least two of these. Very important. Supports is a very broad term for these characters. Yes, they're supportive characters, but they all do different things in different ways. The most important thing is you don't want to like stack debuffs or buffs of the same type if you can. Also, you don't want characters that, you know, kind of overlap the same role of pushing turn meters. If you just look at their skills, for example, Marvel is a very good turn meter pusher, but you know, so is something like a Tsukiyomi. One pushes back, one pushes up, but you know, you don't want to overlap too much on turn meter stuff, because debuffs and buffs are going to be really important to incorporate as well into your team. So that's a big thing you want to take away from this. You kind of will figure out what I mean if you look at their skills, but there's a lot of good options here. I don't think any of these are necessarily bad that I have in this tier, but the really good free-to-play options are Chiaki and also Gray. Gray is really good because he has crit buff, he has defense break, he also does good damage, which is always good. Especially early on into your progression where you're going to be lacking damage. And Chiaki's very good because she has an attack buff every single turn. She has crazy turn meter pushing. She has dispelling, which is very good. So just a very solid free-to-play option as well. If you re-rolled for Lily or got her on your account because you got lucky or something like that, she's also going to be extremely powerful here, no surprise. She's just one of the best characters in the game. And then Kloss is a very good debuffer because she has like some CC potential, because she kind of like reduces their speed a lot, but also she makes them take more damage, and she also has an AoE defense break as well, which is very powerful and can push back their turn meter. Freya, also very good choice. I kind of knocked her down a bit under Lily and Kloss for SR supports, just because, or SSR supports, just because she's more defensive. More so of a defensive support than offensive, and you don't really want too much of a defensive support here, because you're kind of on, especially in thresholds in this game, you're kind of like on like a DPS timer. So even though she's very good in PvP, I don't think she's as good as the more aggressive ones. And then below her we have Heinrich, Tsukiyomi, Dokidoki, and Marvel. These are still very good options. I would just stay away from them just because you have so many good free-to-play options like above them. So because of that, you know, you most likely are just going to want to run one of the SR options, or if you have Lily or Kloss, you can run them. If you pulled like Romoka by chance, or like Rosa, Messiah, or Tiamat, and you want to use them as your main DPS, you can even select your Kloss if you want. But in that situation, I would still just hold off on using your selector because, you know, there's so many good SR, lower rarity options. And yeah, I highly recommend using Gray if you can, especially if you're free to play, because unless your Romoka does a ton of damage, just carrying you just by being super geared, you're gonna struggle a bit damage-wise, and Gray's very good because he does very good damage. Now, like I mentioned, heals, you don't need this. You can drop it for another DPS or support, depending on what you need, but they're still very good because they will keep your team alive, obviously. Linglo is the best healer by a large margin, not just in Dokidoki, but in like every area of content for PvE and PvP, honestly. Besides, I think, Terramatan, right? And she's free, actually. She's free to play. You get her from day 7 of the check-in, so you'll eventually get her. If you want to do it before then, you can use Sanya, which is the SR option, but she's nowhere near as good as Linglo. Linglo is just a million times better. So I have a ton of these units I showed you guys. What about the team comp put together? This is definitely not stolen from Pridewind, but okay, it is stolen from Pridewind. Here's like what they recommend. This is like 8 out of like, I don't even know, like 15 team comps they have listed there. You can kind of see they mix and match DPS with usually two or three supports with like a CC'er. You can even run 2 CC'ers, as you can see at the top left. That's a very good option as well. It's really up to you. 2 CC'ers is definitely safer, but you know, if your one CC'er is fast enough, they can kind of do it alone. Also, if you have turn meter pushers, you don't really need 2 CC'ers, right? The team comps with 2 CC'ers with Kraken and Kazuya don't really have that many turn meter pushbacks. Because of that, that's why they have 2, just for safety. But there's a lot of team comps, and honestly, it's really up to you and what you have on your account. But the biggest thing is, you know, instead of theory crafting all these team comps for you guys, there's actually a great feature in the game already. So if you actually go to Dokidoki and you go to whatever stage you want, if you click that book at the top right, where the big fat red arrow is, you can actually see what people have cleared this with. You can see the fastest teams that have cleared it, which is probably not useful to you because those units are probably going to be higher rarity. You can also see recent clears, and you can scroll down. You can look at it like every few minutes and see what people are using. And if you find a team composition that matches up with what you have, you can actually just copy it and use it, right? Or you can mix and match it with, you know, the rules that I showed you and replace maybe like 1 or 2 units, and you should be good to go. Okay, that's pretty much it for this Dokidoki guide. I don't want to make it super long and make it too complicated. I don't really want to talk about the boss's skills because it's pretty simple. You just CC ads, and you just kill them, and you heal and debuff and buff. But some extra tips: make sure your main DPS is 6-star. Only thing that needs to be 6-star in this team is your main DPS. Make sure your modules and shells are leveled, but don't overinvest in them, right? What I'm talking about is most of your right side pieces you want to actually have with the right main stat. It says stats here, but it's literally just main stat is the only thing that really matters. It's the highest benefit. So, you know, attack percent or crit damage or stuff like that, crit chance even on your DPS characters are good, and effect accuracy on like your CC'ers are good. And also make sure your sets are pretty decent as well, right? I have Onslaught for my damage dealers. I have Swift Rush on everything else. And also you want to make sure you speed tune your team, so your turn order is your turn manipulator into your CC'er, into your support units, and then you want your DPS to go last after they get all those buffs and after all those debuffs are on the enemies. I'm going to show you guys the team that I use to actually auto this. I've got up to Hell 2. Hell 3 seems a little out of reach with the current modules I have, so I kind of need to make a pit stop at Hell 2, which is okay, to get some better modules. I use Mio sometimes instead of Messiah, but right now I've been using Messiah. Honestly, it doesn't really matter what I'm using in this 5th slot. I think Kazuyo, Kloss, and Rat Mocha is carrying me, with Lily, of course. This 5th slot, you can literally slot in like a Gray would be actually a lot better than Messiah here, to be honest. Chiaki would probably be okay. Kraken would probably be like another very, very solid option. Waiting for Linglo to probably slot in here, but for the most part, you know, if you're looking for a good free-to-play team, this is like a good base. You can replace Kloss as well, and then, you know, slot in something like, honestly, this looks really solid, this right here. But obviously I don't have these geared because I geared my other characters, and even though I do want to use this team because I think it's slightly better than what I'm using, I'm kind of forced to do this here. So I'll show you guys how it works. The speed tuning is really bad because I literally have no gear because it's day 4 since the server released. can kind of see how it works. Basically, it's CC the enemies and stall until Rat Mocha gets her S3 and one-shots something, and then blows up the entire enemy side. And I kind of like Messiah because he's invincible and he does decent damage. So he can soak hits as well. But for the most part, what happens is Lily S3s, I S1 with Kazuyo, and then Rat Mocha uses another S3 that should kill almost. Unfortunately, it did not one-shot. She went into the wrong target here, but it happens. And if you get really bad RNG, you'll actually end up losing. Like if I don't like sleep stuff, and if they like focus target one character down. But for the most part, it's pretty safe. And I'll show you guys my stats on this after as well. Here we go. And Rat Mocha finishes it off. It's whatever. She doesn't have it at the start. It's just very important to make sure you have your crowd controller's skills up at the start of the next wave. And you can see I'm doing decent damage. This is like the scary turn. Okay, my Lily gets one shot because unlucky. But I'm still fine here just because I have my sleep up soon from Kazuyo. And you're just kind of playing around Kazuyo's sleep. Her sleep is very OP. Her S3. There it is. All of them are sleeping. And I think if I swap out my Messiah with Linglo or Sonya, it's just a lot better. So you can kind of see why I said having a healer is pretty good when you're progressing, just because if you're not killing them fast enough, it looks very scary. And it just ended up being that my Lily got pretty unlucky there and got one shot. But once they get like enraged, right, they're just doing a ton of damage. And you can see I'm just constantly sleeping, which is very good, even though they're getting woken up. And you can see I just fully autoed it. Didn't even really put too much thought into gearing or like speed tuning. It's just pretty simple with a team comp like this. Obviously this is only Hell 2, but if you actually look at the rankings as of me recording, you're gonna see that these are the only people that have cleared Hell 2. Nothing too crazy. Where am I in the clear time? I'm actually 7th fastest in global server right now for Hell 2. And if you go to Hell 3, I think there's only like a couple. Yeah, there's 4 people who've done it so far as of recording this. And Hell 4, literally none. So if I look at my characters for you guys are probably curious. The most important thing is you max out Rat Mocha's S3. You have a lot of damage, and I have attack percent, which is very bad. I guess it's not the worst. I also have Onslaught, but you want to put her on a decent shell. I think Twilight Knight is very, very good for here because you want to one-shot the target early. And yeah, I have Messiah here on a pretty weird one. This is his gear as well. Crit damage and crit rate. Obviously, everything is like very weirdly geared. That's because I'm here to farm gear, right? And then I have my Kloss here. 100% effect accuracy, nothing too crazy. And then Kazuyo, very important to max her S3. It's super broken to get the skill cooldown. You actually need this on her. Then afterwards, her S1 and S2 are both very good. Her S2 is slightly better, I'd say, because it makes her tankier. This gives her defense. And yeah, that is pretty much my team. This is for Hell 2 so far. I'm actually like level 35, so I just opened it. So by the time I get a few more pieces and even level up some shells and just get more levels on my units, I should be able to do Hell 4 by the end of the week. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. As always, make sure you guys like and subscribe to help me out. And I just want to note, I did put Mio up in the very good CC tier. I think early game you might find some struggles with her if you do play on a user, just because she really relies on latticing her skills for the skill cooldown. So I just wanted to point that out before I end the video, that if you're seeing that your Mio's not doing that great, it's probably because you haven't invested into her. And I'm not saying you should. You should probably just wait to use her and then drop her for like a Kraken or something like that. Kraken is super broken too, same as Kazuyo. Honestly, he's probably better than Kazuyo because the freeze doesn't break when you attack it. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you guys next video. Peace.